कि देखो पीछे लेना पड़ेगा.
क्यों नहीं? ठीक है.
Is the background coming? It's time.
Yes. Hey, kindly, can we do this in PRS section?
No, but that would be too loud.
Okay, it's recording, so.
Yeah.
So why are you
Let's
taking
start.
this section?
So, Charu, how do you define your music, your band, the feel of the music that you guys play?
Where termed progressive, and it's basically moods. My music is all about stories. It's all about how. Hey, don't stop me like this in between.
Sound. Is it? It's picking that up also.
So we need to do something else, somewhere else.
No, just wait.
I can't tell them. Start. So yeah, so basically it's progressive music, and when I say progressive, I mean my songs are stories, my albums are stories. So depending on the mood of the story, my songs change. The moods are based on the story, on the concept, and how it works. So it's a little intense. It's a little bit of energy. It's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit of everything.
What has been the story so far? How did the band form? And since the band originated in Chennai and now you are in Bombay, so that matters a lot.
Yeah. Well, it started off in August 2003, I think. Yeah. I had a band called Ignition before that in my 11th standard, and then when Ignition broke up, I wanted to form my own band. I wanted to play my own music and stuff like that. So I formed Nervewrek. It was a three-piece band. My influences at the time were Megadeth, Metallica. So we were again very Megadeth, Metallica kind of a band, very thrash, three-piece thrash metal band. Music was very simple, very this thing. Slowly, I started. I mean, I write the music in the band. I've always been writing the music in the band. So when my musical influences changed, when my style changed, the band's style changed. Some of the other musicians couldn't cope with that. For example, my first drummer wasn't a double bass drummer. But then when I became very Dream Theater oriented, we needed some double bass in our music and stuff like that. So he had to practice a lot more. I remember he came to Bangalore for this one show. He carried a double bass pedal for one roll. He goes for that role he took his double bass pedal, but other than that he didn't play too much double bass and all that. So then my brother Keshav joined. He had a kit of his own. He kept practicing and stuff like that, and that was his first band. He joined Nervewrek, was his first band, and yeah. So not too many times did I change musicians because they weren't up to the mark. We just kept practicing, but the practice sessions got a little more intense, so they didn't have time. So because of time factors, Nervewrek has had a lot of lineup changes. People didn't manage to cope with the time that they had to put in and stuff like that. So I had to keep getting new musicians. So even in Chennai, as a Chennai-based band, I've had a lot of lineup changes with every member, the drummer, the bassy, the keyboardist. Then finally we added a keyboardist. We were a three-piece band and then we added keyboards. So it became a four-piece band. And changed every member. So that kept me going with the band because I had the confidence that I can actually work in Bombay, coming to Bombay, being a better city in terms of marketing wise. The music is, yeah, it is. Musicians in Chennai, I would say, are genius, but the marketing is not that great. It's hardly anything. I mean, we wasted a lot of time in Chennai, and we have a lot of people there calling us up, organizers from Chennai calling us up saying, yeah, you guys are awesome, can you play, blah, 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 blah. Oh, actually, there's a budget issue, so we can't pay you. And then we'd be like, yeah, fuck off, okay. So, can I say fuck? Yeah, okay. So we'd be like, yeah, whatever. So that, I haven't noticed that in Bombay. Here, people actually respect the fact that, time is money. They value your time, they value you as a musician, and they give you all that. So, so anyway, so I knew that this was a better place for me a better platform. The only thing keeping me, the only doubt I had was the fact that, I'm coming alone. So will I be able to meet musicians here and stuff like that? But because I've already had that experience of changing musicians in Chennai, I wasn't too scared. And I know Bombay is Bombay, you'll obviously find musicians here, which we did. So, yeah. So that's pretty much how it happened.
Okay. Tell us about how did you finalize the lineup for the band?
Well, I still haven't finalized the lineup. I've pretty much got musicians who I like, musicians who I can get along with as people, plus as musicians. Um, Amog introduced me to Hamza, who introduced me to AQ, and then I met Josh. And Ishan was just, again, as a matter of conversation, we just talked and we said, I need a bassy, I need a funk bassy. Amog asked me, what kind of a bassy are you looking for? Although we're a progressive, I wouldn't say metal, but yeah, we have metal in our roots, but we're a progressive band. The bassy I was looking for is a funk bassy. I need a funk bassy. So I was looking for a funk bassy. He said, there's this guy called Ishan, why don't you try him out? Tried him out, he worked out pretty well. So this is the first lineup. I haven't really experimented too much with it. So when we do, we'll see if I finalize with the lineup or not. And we have a lot of ugly people in this show.
What are your influences in the music that you are creating? Not just musical, also lyrical influences that you have.
I have a lot of influences that way, but I would say the all-time favorite is Michael Jackson. He's influenced me not only in his, I grew my hair because of him. So yeah, his melodies, his confidence, his passion. That's the Michael Jackson influence. Then I would say Dave Mustaine to some extent was a big influence. Again, we both are in the same boat. He's also the only member of Megadeth, writes the songs and singer, guitarist and all that stuff. So that helped, It's nice to look up to people who are facing the same problems as you're facing. And then you're like, okay, this is how he deals with it, so it helps me deal with my problems. So Dave Mustaine was more of a, similar situation kind of guy. Musically, rhythm guitar is the only thing I would want to learn from him. Other than that, he fucked up my vocals, but thank you. But anyway, so lyrically, Kurt Cobain, John Lennon, these guys really helped. And Daniel Gildenberg, Pain of Salvation. Pain of Salvation is final. I saved the best for the last because POS is the band that influenced me. Again, he's the same situation as Dave Mustaine. He's the one guy in the band who formed the band, writes the music, all that. But his music is very intense. It's like you don't have to listen to his lyrics to understand what he's talking about. You can actually feel it in the music, and that's what I want to achieve with my music.
The kind of topics that your lyrics deal in are they religion-based topics like politics and stuff like that, or is it general stuff?
Yeah, well, so far I'm not a religious person. I'm a very spiritual person. So yeah, they're very spiritual lyrics. But all my lyrics are based on what I go through. I make stories to put them across because obviously a listener is not going to want to know what I've gone through. I can't say, yeah, I was born in this city and this is how I live my life because it's not interesting enough. So I try to make stories to put across what I've learned in life. So it's basically my life and learnings of my experience in life that I try to put down in my lyrics. And I try to make a story out of it so that it's interesting for somebody to listen to.
Do you have Indian classical influences in your music?
I listen to some of them. I'm not really a fan, but my mom, of course, she used to listen to a lot of bhajans and a lot of these classical people. So I have heard them off and on. I've not really sat down and listened to them and studied them as such. But yeah, and I don't have any prior training. I haven't I haven't learned to play guitar or learned to sing or learn music in any way. I've taught myself to play. So I've worked by influences. So whatever I've heard around me over the years invariably comes up in my music somehow.
Can you tell us some bands which has influenced you from the Indian scene? Which are some bands which are really, really good. And that
1 second. Chodu, come to LM. Come to the piano shop. Bye. Sorry, what?
Yeah. Can you tell us about your influences from the Indian scene? A particular band which has influenced you from the Indian scene?
Very early days, Lucky Ali.
Okay.
I would say that's it.
That's it? No other Indian bands?
No, Indian bands? You mean Western Indian bands?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the Indian music. Yeah, that way there's a lot. Yeah, I would Thermal and a Quarter, Zero. These were Moksha. These were the three bands that I started looking up to as a young musician. I was like, I want to be there. That's the kind of band I want to be. And Moksha, I happened to know those guys. I was lucky enough to be introduced to the members of Moksha, and I started. I mean, they were good friends of mine, so they helped me a lot. They helped me in my journey, and so yeah, they helped me in my journey to become a musician, to understand what the market is all about, how you fight the whole scenario, because you know how Indian music scene is, nobody gives a shit. So to fight that and go across. So I learned from these guys. Then I would say in the metal scene, there's Mindsnare, DR. Uh, yeah, pretty much these bands. There are a lot more that I'm forgetting, but with the kind of shit I smoke these days, I don't remember too much.
Can you tell us about the lack of women who are performing on stage in the Indian contemporary scene? What do you feel about that?
It's not so much the lack of women; it's just the attitude of the women. Now, we all know Yasmin, don't we? She's one person who takes the cake. Other than Yasmin, I don't think there's a single woman in the country, besides vocalists, who have the confidence. And I don't blame them. It's because we look at them like that. We don't have the confidence. Who, when you say a woman, okay, now suddenly a girl says, I want to be a drummer, immediately right from scratch, her parents will be like, what are you saying? You can't be a drummer. Why don't you try being a singer? Because that's a more girly thing to do. Not girls don't end up being drummers or a bassy, for example. So, starting from your parents to your friends to your surroundings, people start fucking with your head and stuff like that, and these chicks will be like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to be a singer. So, I wouldn't say there's so much a lack of people. It's just the approach, the attitude towards women who play. There are, of course, a handful of them like Pratika Prabhune, who doesn't give a shit about what people think, and they say, okay, I'm going to be a bassy whether I like it or not. It doesn't matter. If I don't have a cock, I can still play bass. So, it works. And it works for them.
What is your opinion on the commercial music in the entire industry, which is India famous for, the Bollywood industry, or such kind of music which is really commercial,
Yeah.
and the contemporary scene in India, and especially Bombay? What do you think is, what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I misinterpreted your last question when you asked me the Indian bands that this thing. I thought you meant this. This is what I thought you meant. I have nothing to say about the Bollywood scene because what it makes you happy. If it makes you happy, it makes you happy. It caters to the mass. It caters to the audience. Well and good, but that doesn't mean just because this does well, you only do that. Fine, this does well. Bollywood is a good market. We've seen how it sells. We've seen how the artists are and all that. But invariably, because now there's so much demand for for more music, it's like, okay, this is doing well, so now that's the only thing. Bollywood is the only industry which sells. We don't have our Western market, which is half as big as the Bollywood industry. But so many people want more because entertainment is entertainment. So the demand keeps increasing. So now musicians have to keep making more music for Hindi films. So ultimately they're like, oh shit, I don't have any more songs to write now. What do I do? There's this song by Led Zeppelin, which I'm sure the Bollywood market doesn't know. So let's just copy it, usme Hindi lyrics डालेंगे, and then that's it. That's what happens. So now a lot of these guys end up copying music. A lot of these guys end up ripping shit off for no reason. And so it's overdone. I think it's like pimped too highly. It's rated too highly. It's a good industry. It's very listenable. I mean, it's friendly on your ears and stuff like that. As opposed to some of the music that we listen to. Obviously, your mom wouldn't like listening to DR because she's like, what is this noise and what is all the language he's using and all that. But then you listen to A.R. Rahman or Anu Malik and then you say, this is music, this is peaceful music. Fine. There are different listeners who listen to different music. But I think Bollywood is overrated. I think the music scene there is pushed. As a film industry, it's great, fine. But as music industry, I think we have better.
What do you think have been the changes in the scene in the past few years that we have witnessed from Chennai as well as in Bombay? What do you think have been the changes?
I'm not comparing Chennai Bombay, but I'm saying over the years I've noticed that people have become a lot more open to original music, a lot more open to new kinds of sounds. Now it's not that okay, Nervewrek's always been an original band. We've never really promoted ourselves as a cover band. Ignition, my first band, was a cover band. We used to do a lot of stuff like Papa Roach and Metallica and stuff like that. And we used to get great responses for those kind of things. And when we do our own comps, they were nice. They were pretty catchy own comps. And we got moderate responses, but it wasn't that great. Especially outstation gigs. When we played in Chennai, it was nice. When we played in NLS Bangalore, people didn't really want to hear it, didn't really want to know. Now today, Nervewrek's recorded 3 songs. We've got a few, lots of own comps, but we've recorded 3 shitty quality recordings. And people want us to play these songs. They're chanting these songs in our shows, and it's a good feeling. It's a really nice feeling. I had this incident in Bangalore once when I was based in Chennai. I went to Bangalore to visit my aunt, and I was chilling there. And I walked into Planet M, and I picked up a Deep Purple CD or something, and I went to build the thing, and I heard this guy singing my song, and then we like bumped into each other, and he's like, "Hey, you're that Nervewrek dude that I was just singing your song and all that." And it felt good. It felt really nice that he was singing my song, not a song that I cover. He's singing one of my own comps, in Bangalore, and he's heard of it, and he's actually singing. So it feels good. It's nice to know that people are actually, open to all this, but it's only the audience and the musicians, the corporates, the people, the actual money people involved. They still don't have too much confidence in this industry. They don't believe that if we don't get a Raghu Dikshit, like if you go to Pepsi and say I'm doing a show with Demonic Resurrection, Nervewrek, and Chronic Phobia, and I need 40 lakhs, he's going to tell you, see, I've got 2 fingers, I want to show you. That's it. He's going to be like, no way, you're going to get 40 lakhs for this thing. Now you take off Chronic Phobia and you say, okay, it's Demonic Resurrection, Nervewrek, and Raghu Dikshit. Immediately he'd be like, okay, can we, instead of these 2 bands, can we also do Lucky Ali? So basically he's going to try and push out DR and Nervewrek as much as possible, or maybe have one of them and have more Indian commercial bands. That's the only way these guys will sponsor. So I don't think the sponsors have changed too much, but it's the audience and the bands, yeah, they've changed a lot. I like listening to other people's own comps as well as, as much. I look forward to somebody playing their own comp as much as I look forward to them playing a cover.
What do you think is a problem in the scene currently, which most of the bands and musicians are facing?
This is the problem. The corporates don't take us seriously. We don't have enough people supporting us as musicians in the corporate world. Now, the thing that makes international bands successful is they have a whole marketing team and a management team that supports them. Now, here in Bombay, it's a lot more than anywhere else. I've seen you yourself are a manager of other bands and stuff like that. But what do you do? That you can do what you're capable of. You can promote your bands, you can sing, but you can't sponsor. Now I tell you, I want to play a gig in Delhi. Can you get me a gig in Delhi? You can call up all the people you know in Delhi, try and get us a gig there as much as you can, but you can't organize the gig and say, okay, we're on the road, let's go. Why Delhi? Let's do Delhi, Bangalore, and go up. This is what the management agency abroad does. Somebody says, okay, I want to get gigs, so they say, okay, now we've got a new album launch. That album launch is going to be, they're going to have a tour across the US, across the UK, across Germany, wherever you name it. They have a full scheduled tour, and your management team schedules it for you, and the band goes and plays. We don't have that here. We don't have people doing that for us here. We have to go. I would say Sahil is the only guy who does something like that for himself. He's managed to, go and find himself gigs, like carve his name in the scene, basically. That's what he's done. So we have to do that on our own, each musician. Some of the most successful bands in the country today are people who've done it on their own. No, there's been no support from a corporate, there's been no support. Latest we heard was Bhayanak Moth's album, and they got Happy Fist to sponsor them. That we all know why, because Venki was such a great asset for Happy Fist. He got them so much money. So obviously, they were willing to do this. But other than that, we don't have anybody who's got the confidence that Western music in India will sell. We don't have people coming up and telling us that, I'd like to sign your band up. I really like. We've opened for Scorpions, we've opened for Iron Maiden, and we still haven't had people coming up to us and saying, this is a good thing. Why don't you guys sign up with us? It's never happened, and I think that's one of the biggest problems that we face.
Since you mentioned Iron Maiden and Scorpions, how's the experience been? What is the reception you've received, not just from the crowd but from the organizers? And have you had any word with the bands in particular?
Well, reception's been great, obviously, because opening for 2 international acts is a great thing. I mean, I feel good about it. When I tell people about it, I get a great response from them. And the shows were also, I wouldn't say awesome response, but Bombay was a little skeptical. We were very skeptical about how the response is going to be in Bombay, especially because you're opening for Iron Maiden. Now, the difference is, not that Bombay is a bad crowd and all that. It's just that me personally, I'm standing in a crowd waiting for my favorite band to play. Say, Pain of Salvation is playing. I'm waiting for Pain of Salvation to play. And then we have Chronic Phobia opening for them, and another band opening for them, and another band opening for them, and then Pain of Salvation. I'm going to get pissed off. I'm going to be like, dude, get off, Pain of Salvation. I'm waiting for Pain of Salvation. So yeah, I understand what the crowd was going through. But it was a great response. It was much better than what we had imagined. I thought we are going to get bottles thrown on us and we're going to just, people are going to say, fuck off, go back to Chennai. Didn't really happen. Maybe it did happen, but the bottles didn't reach the stage. They were halfway through. But it was good. We got a much better response than we had imagined for Maiden. Scorpions was awesome. We got a brilliant response. In fact, we got an encore, and Scorpions didn't get an encore, and they had planned for an encore. So they do their Humanity set list, and then they get off stage, and then there's supposed to be an encore, and then they finish with their Winds of Change and stuff like that, which didn't happen. So in Bangalore, we finished our set, and it was just us and then Scorpions. So we finished our set and we went off, and the crowd is like, yeah, Nervewrek, chanting for one more song, and we were like, wow. So then we had VIP access passes, so we went to the VIP lounge and we got drunk, and Scorpions was playing. And when they played, they finished their Humanity set list and they went off stage, and the crowd was like, they're like, thank you, good night. And Bangalore's also like, okay, good night, about to go home. And then they had to get this MC to come back and say, do you guys want another song? Do you want Scorpions to play more and all that? So then the crowd was like, yeah. And then they came back and played their old classic. So that was a great feeling. In fact, I didn't even meet the Scorpions because I was too busy drinking Jack Daniels in the VIP lounge. And the organizer called me up. He's like, dude, come fast, come fast. I'm like, why? He's like, you can meet Scorpions. I'm like, no, man, we're too busy getting drunk, and we just got drunk. Iron Maiden, of course, I wouldn't do that. Firstly, we didn't have a VIP lounge in the Iron Maiden show. There was no booze involved. So that could be one of the reasons. Another thing is, being Iron Maiden, obviously we wanted to meet them. So I spent the entire show backstage. After we finished playing, I was backstage throughout until Iron Maiden played, and then again went backstage after they finished playing. So I happened to meet Bruce Dickinson, and I shook his hand, saying you guys were, after the show, I shook his hand saying you guys were awesome, whatever gods, I've been listening to you for so long. And he looked a little confused, so I told him my name is Arjun, I was part of Nervewrek, the first band that opened for you guys. And he's like, yeah, you guys were awesome and all, but the best part was he wasn't there when we played. Because I was backstage, I saw him come in when Parikrama was playing. Halfway through Parikrama's set list, I saw cars come in with Bruce Dickinson and all these guys get up. And he's like, yeah, you guys were awesome. But he's Bruce Dickinson, he's allowed to bullshit, he can do whatever he wants. Yeah, so that was part of meeting Maiden and all. It was a great experience. No complaints, nothing at all. Organizers weren't great during the Iron Maiden show. They were very rude. It was the Indian organizers that were rude. The actual Iron Maiden crew was very nice to us. In fact, their production manager, after we finished playing, my drummer was standing on stage waiting for me to bring my gear. And the production manager goes to my drummer and he tells him, what are you doing here? Go, look for pussy. So the Iron Maiden crew was actually very nice to us. They were very friendly and stuff like that. But the Bombay crew, the sound guys that came from Bombay, not the engineer, but the other guys helping us on stage, they were very rude and stuff like that. So I wasn't in a great mood. But yeah, it was a good experience.
What is the future plan for your band? And can you tell us, are you planning a recording, officially release an album or something? Because you have been around since 4 years now, right? The band's been around since 4 years now. If I'm
More than 4 years. We've been 2003. That's how many years?
7 years.
Almost
5 years. Yeah.
6, 7 years.
5 to 6 years.
I've been around for a while, yeah, and I've got enough material to keep me going for a long time.
Well, I've got
2 albums. I've got, right now, today, I can record 2 albums, okay? I have enough material for 2 albums. And by the time I record these songs, I'm sure there's going to be newer stuff coming up. So, I really want to record. The reason I haven't recorded is because I've never been satisfied. We've always done singles, demos and stuff like that with friends, amateur recordings. Bhai, wo darwaza band karna, please. Oh, boss. Yeah. So, sorry about that. So, we've been recording at small studios, like friend studios and stuff like that. And it's not really great, so I'm not, I wasn't happy with the recordings we did, which is why I didn't end up doing the album. I started with, the idea was to record an album, and we recorded the first song and it didn't come out too well, so I was like, fuck it, might as well look for something else. So the next chance we got, again, recorded another song. Sound wasn't great, so we're like, fuck it. So I'm still waiting, I'm still looking for a nice place to record, and now that I'm working here, probably I have a budget that I can spend on. So future plans for Nervewrek, same as most bands. I want to commercialize the band as much as I can, not at the expense of the music, to a point where I will, change my music for it to sell, not like that, but I know my music can sell. If it's marketed well, I know it can sell. I need somebody to market it and try and get a team to run it together. So hopefully, I have my mom in the US, and as you know, I go to each city, each country, trying to like recruit people, and we might end up having an American lineup. With no, you never know. But yeah, let's see. I'm not right now. I'm confident enough to go anywhere and form a lineup as long as I know I have some time there to like spend. Which is why I came to Bombay without anybody in mind. I didn't have anybody in mind as in, besides Rahul Haryana was the only guy I knew personally. So I was like, if nothing else, I'll work with him on drums. But let's see how it works. But then I came here and I met Hamza and all these guys. So same thing might happen anywhere else. Let's see how far Bombay can take us. If things work well, may not have to go anywhere else. If it doesn't work well, might have to go somewhere else. But I don't think I want to do anything else. So, yeah. Future plans for Nervewrek is that's it. Become the man.